hard to try to build something new when what we have needs work. You know, that's a hard choice. Like, we still have a lot of work to do with our current infrastructure. If we start building new stuff without taking care of our infrastructure, it's unsustainable. We went through a period like that at the state parks, where we built, and all of a sudden, we don't have enough money to support that. So it all has to go together. Balancing new recreational opportunities and maintaining our small city charm. Okay, that's a tough one. There's two camps, and you guys know it. There's the camp that is like, let's do more progressive stuff and let's do this. And then there's another camp saying, let's stay the way we are. There's nothing wrong with that. They're both right, and I imagine the answer is somewhere in the middle, you know, to make a good decision. But for instance, a shelter. People are like, we want a shelter so we can do events and we can rent it out for seniors and family reunions. And I'm like, where would you put a shelter? Oh, working at parks for 31 years, if you put the closer you put shelter to the water, that'll be your most popular shelter if people want water. We can put the shelter at Zorn Park, a lot of green space, close to the water. And then I get resistance saying, nope, that's what a car show is. Okay, well, that could be part of the car show, you know, it can enhance that. We have an idea, right here, Gene Jordan, like, hey, maybe that's a good spot for a dog park. It's right down from there, and people are like, well, no, that's where people sit for the 4th of July. So there's a lot of that, and I think what I learned from that is something I have to have an alternative, or offer alternatives of what people did at one time, like maybe we can do it there. Anyways, that's a balancing act that I think any parks program has in any city, is trying to find that comfort spot. All right, the view. Learn the hard way. Don't mess with the view. The view is both an asset and a challenge. What can you do at Marina Park or at Ford Park that's not going to take away from the view? Like I said, it's a big draw. I think that the view had, and this is a good example. Let's talk about the shades. Did you go to the? I think, okay, when we proposed the shades, the 3 locations we picked were in a higher ground. There's like a foot difference between that side of Marina Park and where the shades are. The shades really should have went north and south, because that way you would have more of a steady shade instead of east and west. But because of the location, we couldn't put it north and south. And when we dug the foundations, the water table was right there. The footing we had sonic tubes that were 4 foot. We ended up having to cut them because we could only go down 32 inches. We used a sump pump to pump the water out. And I think that choice of location was probably the least impact on the view. So we kind of went in that direction. But that's just an example of the view, of how important it is and how you have to take that into consideration with any kind of development or structures we put in. Okay. Challenges, COVID-19, I think we're all dealing with that. Okay, I'll wrap it up with this. Goals for the next 6 months. Okay, there's 2 projects that I inherited. One is the pickleball courts, which I'm working on now. The next one is the boardwalk on the bluff. I think that was put on hold because of the spillway. Right, so we need to dive back into that. I spent a lot of time on it. I talked to people about it. You know, do you feel safe? I think it's something I think it's important if people use it. It's got a lot of history involved in it. I think that we probably should be the next big thing we do.
It's also in our CIP for next year in our capital improvements plan. So that's why we.
And there's some information and cost estimates already submitted. We have to update. Submit a capital improvement proposals for parks. That's what I'm going to be working on next. I'll work on a cost to operate the parks model. That's what I talked about earlier. There is a proposal for shade park going along with AHA, and possibly some other features, whether it be a playground or splash pad. Forums. Okay, so we have a lot of things going on in our parks that sometimes we don't even know. So Victor asked that I standardize a form, a use form, so if you want to do something in a park, this is what you fill out. So some things, most things won't have a cost, some of them may have a cost associated with it. Review parks, recreation policy and procedures, solicit community input. I think number 7 is probably the biggest thing I need to do. They're all important, but I think we've got to start holding some public forums to get an idea of what our direction should be. Work on parks, recreation master plan, design a new recreation page on our website, and I still need to learn the winter park operations. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Yes, sir.
Marina Park, what were the improvements that people are promoting or want to have done that they feel need to be done?
They want to see something at Marina Park, whether it be a splash pad or just landscaping or better grass, or they want a music venue there. Probably not going to happen because of the view. But those are the things that I'm hearing. They want like a gazebo there for music, or a splash pad, better grass. And all these things have kind of been on hold, waiting to see where we're going with the existing current plan. Probably next. So we hope we're gonna have that discussion coming up.
The what?
We're gonna talk with, we're gonna have that discussion about where we're headed. If we're gonna stick with the original plan, the current plan, what's our strategy for funding it? If we're not, then we have to start over again.
The harbor master building design.
And
Which includes
what
part,
are the changes for the harbor master design that you feel are needed?
Well, that's a separate topic, I think, that, and the harbor commission will talk about that on October 14th, but they've been talking about that for 5-6 years now. So, they just want a new building, but the new building would be relocated to part of where the green space is right now. So we change up the whole parking in the park, much of the park, not the whole park, but we'll change up the layout.
did I answer your question?
Yeah, that's it for now. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Denny, it's kind of vague to say, work on this, work on that, work on that. Are you looking to complete those, this winter, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, well, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving us that. I'll get another one next year at the same time.
Heck, yeah.
Thanks.
I'll just say that I patrol all the time, and then he's down at the marina or at the beach at 7 in the morning. He's down there at 6 at night working, installed that white fence. He's done a lot of good things for our city, so I appreciate what he's done.
Thanks, chief.
Thanks. Moving on to item C, which is solar panels on municipal buildings. I did a long write-up. I'll just make it very brief for you guys, though, that we've had different quotes. So council has originally said that they wanted to go with the right idea of potentially putting some solar panels on buildings. This project would be coming from electric funds, healthy balance, and we would get a return on our investment. So, whether it's 15, 20 years from now, we would recoup the money we spent over the long run. So it's not a project that Nick or I or anyone else feels is going to be, it's going to drain any money from the city. However, we originally wanted to look at doing City Hall, police station, and maybe DPW. DPW we ruled out because it's a new roof and there's a warranty on there that's 50 years. We don't want to jeopardize messing with that warranty by putting something into the roof. We looked at these two buildings, police station and City Hall, but the roofs are still about, anywhere between 5 and 10 years out and need to be replaced. Doesn't make sense. It's not a wise use of money to just replace the roof now, or put solar panels that we have to take off in 7 years to replace the roof. So we looked at different options. One is, I talked a little bit with Chief Cups about using the fire station as we put a few panels up there. They only spend about $400 a year in electric bills there, so it would be a great opportunity for us to have a visible project at the fire station, put some panels up, cover the costs of the fire station's electricity, but also generate electricity that we pump back into our grid. Two other buildings that we looked at are potentially our skate park and Ford Park. They also have different visibility, so Ford Park is the water users, they use that, they'll see the solar panels there. And right now, the Ford Park building is not being used essentially for anything other than bathrooms and an occasional winter heat in there, electric heat. So it'd be just essentially pumping electricity back into our grid. And same thing, skate parks use a little bit more, but to put some solar panels on the roof potential, if you look at doing that, again, it could cover the cost of that building and put electricity back into our grid. And I talked with Lucas about both the roofs at skate park and Ford Park, and he said they're pretty relatively new and relatively good shape, but we can confirm that, later. But my solution is to, let's do a few small projects, because to do solar panels on City Hall and police station together with replacing the roofs could be between $100,000 and $150,000. I don't think we can do that right now. But if we spend anywhere between $40,000 and $50,000 for putting panels on skate park, Ford Park building, and the fire station, I think it would create generate a lot of buzz. We'd be pushing our power supply to more renewable, and it'd be a local generation, and we wouldn't just be an electric provider. Now we'll start going into business of actually producing electricity. So I think they're good locations. They get a lot of visibility, but they're small enough projects that we're not taking on a big risk by doing them. And if those work out well, then we can look at later 5, 6, 7 years doing some of our other buildings, rolling them out. So that's my recommendation, is that what we do is we put out an RFP, request for proposals, out there to get bids back for putting solar on Ford Park building, skate park building, and the fire station. Granted that we'll have to go to the fire authority board to make sure we get their approval, because they own the building, but we own the land, just to make sure that they give us their approval. So that's what I have. I don't know. John Cups is, we put the volume down, so I don't know if he has any. Hey, John, do you have any comments about the solar panels at the fire station?
No, I think it's a great idea. The effort go great, and like you stated, we have to verify with the board that everybody's on the same page.
Sounds good. Any questions or comments or thoughts from the council? I did we've got different quotes from 2 different companies over the course of the year, so just, those are all in there. It's a lot of pages. We don't need to go through them here, but just to give you an idea of some of their estimates. And that's how we came to our numbers. Fire station would cost $15,000, $16,000 approximately, maybe a little bit more. And this project could go, even $60,000. So we can just say, we want so many solar panels on the buildings. We could put 1 solar panel, we could put 20 or 30. So really what we want to try to do is maximize, I think, some of these smaller buildings at Ford Park and Skate Park, maximize the roof space right now, since they're relatively new roofs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It seems to me that to put one at Ford Park on a building that isn't being really used is kind of a waste. That's my opinion. Maybe skate park and hopefully the fire station.
So the idea of putting it on a building that's not being used is because that electricity will go back into our grid, and we can sell that electricity back to customers. So we wouldn't be producing electricity for ourselves. And it will go back into our entire system.
It's not just to run the building.
Right. This is one of those.
So whatever electricity doesn't get used by the building goes back into our grid, and we sell that to our customers at the regular rate that we. So if that helps.
No.
Those are a handful of kilowatt hours that we would not have to purchase from somebody else. Every piece of power that is sold to our customers, we buy on the open market. So if we're producing our own and selling it, that's just cutting out the expenditure of buying it before you sell it back. And we can talk it for
That makes
12 hours about this at some
makes a
other
little
point.
more sense.
Yeah, we're just getting something for free that we'd normally have to buy and turning around and selling it.
Okay.
But you gotta buy the solar panels.
Right, but there is a
15, 20 years. It'd be-
return on
Then they're
investment.
15, 20 years. But how often do you have to replace them?
50.
So,
They said
solar
25.
panels,
I thought they said.
there's different solar panels, but generally, the warranty is usually for 25 years, their warranty, but that doesn't mean they're not efficient after that. They lose a little bit of efficiency, but you can still get 70 to 80, 85% efficiency out of them after 25. A lot of solar panels are working up to 50 years plus. So but of course, then, new technologies might come out, you want to, get new solar panels. It all depends on what you want to do. However, when I talked to both of these solar installers, or they both basically said that usually what happens is, after those 25 years, a couple solar panels will go bad and just replace them as they go bad or start losing efficiency. So it's still worthwhile investment in that sense.
Okay.
Is it needed to be on a roof? I mean, what is the different offset cost if you had freestanding solar panels, as opposed to, I understand, using the roof space that's there, but what if they were freestanding somewhere, say, on a southern exposure?
A solar farm.
hill?
The cost is the space that we'd be losing, in our city limits for, it would normally be parkland or some other type of land. So I think it's not so much a cost, because it actually would be, you wouldn't have to replace the roof. When you replace the roof, you would have to take the panels off and put them back on, but we're not gonna line up, I think, our green space with solar panels here at least. We're talking about it with the sewer authority potentially, we're still looking into that, about the 100 acres or so that we have over there with some of the surrounding townships as a site, but as far as inside the city limits, I don't think it's feasible. I would recommend it at this point.
I'm just wondering if there are several good southern exposure spaces that, don't need to be maintained, and I think with the proper design that they could be put into those, southern exposure hill spaces that is not necessarily a green space that needs to be maintained, and you could still have the green space around or bordering, and you could disappear them pretty well, probably.
Which, are you talking about the bluff?
Well, some different parts of the bluff, and there's just a lot of,
I don't think we can put development on the bluff, it's
well,
private or publicly owned.
any of the, even this right here across the street where you're thinking about putting a huge amount of money into a landscape entranceway to the city, on that hillside that you end up mowing all the time. I could almost see panels tucked in there with more like wildflowers and just natural landscape aspects, as opposed to spending $100,000 on installing some manicured high maintenance landscape.
That's a good decision for the council if they want to go that route, but
Right, that's why I'm, just discussion.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, I think we should move ahead on the smaller buildings for now. And as roofs need to be replaced, we can look at the individual buildings going forward.
I agree.
What? Y'all in?
Pretty in.
Go good.
I don't think anybody work at all. I wouldn't want them on buildings where people can see them coming into town, but I don't know. We have to really kind of look at how we strategically put them so they don't become that building with the solar power on it, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. I'm kind of.
Well, like on these buildings,
No,
they'd be on
no,
the
but-
southern face of it, wouldn't be on the north side where you're coming into town.
Right.
So you're just thinking north be on the southern exposure.
well, what this would allow us to do is to get those quotes and from different, and if we can talk about.
Have we thought about putting them on top of the high school where they kind of wouldn't be seen?
The school has been talking with them, but it's not our building.
Then, yeah, maybe not. Do it. I don't know. Good thought.
Well, I think Mike is, John Cox, you have an opinion?
Not really, one way or the other. Top of the high school probably won't work because there's a lot of communications stuff up on top of the school. So I don't think it'll work there. As far as putting it on the roof of the fire hall, I don't think it would be an attraction one way or the other. So, yeah, I think it's, a positive going forward. And there are some different areas maybe with southern exposures that we could look at down the road. But I kind of agree with you to push forward at some of the smaller buildings and then see where we go from there.
consensus?
Yeah, we'll get Nick. We'll call.
Do we have to make a motion then?
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we move ahead to get bids on the solar project.
I saw that.
Second.
Mike Materkus.
Aye.
CC Johnston,
Yes.
John Cobbs.
Yep.
And Matt Bulgara. Carry.
Thank you. We'll get back on. We'll come back to you. Item D is the logo contest. So just really quickly, as I get there, because we have a lot of.
A lot of solar.
What you vote?
There we go. As you know, we started out with the idea of either changing, modifying, or replacing our logo because of the TV was not representative of the Medallion tribe here and their history and culture. So that led us to talk about different ways we can get the community and give input on what they would like the new logo or what changes they would like to see in the current logo. We put it out, all the logos, so we had a little contest where we invited users or residents and people to submit logo designs, and they have, and we put that on the internet for people to take a survey to rate the logos. And we put the current logo there as well, so people could compare and contrast them. And basically, all the logos didn't really get any high marks. At best, they were considered average, including the current logo. So there wasn't any kind of unanimous positive consensus about what any one of the logos that was submitted. We did get a few after late submissions of logos, and you have those on your desk as well. And so really the question here is, what do we do now? I mean, we don't want to go forward with a logo that no one wants or likes or just thinks is average. But there's been a lot of push to, do something with the current logo because of specifically the TPN. Some say just kind of, I guess, mediocre graphics, but which is not as big of a concern to me while we started this process, but it's more so the TV. And then, what do we do? So do we, select one of the logo submissions and hire a professional to redesign it? Do we hire a professional to design a new logo based on all the feedback? So we did get a lot of feedback, which was a good thing in the logo survey contest. We had a lot of people saying what they liked and what they didn't like about it, so it could be useful. Do we hire a professional to modernize or alter the current logo? Do we extend the logo contest? Do we postpone making a decision for now? Or do we keep the logo as is? Okay, those are the options I think we have. I'm not going to say one way what. I leave this up to you guys. It's not an urgent thing, but it is something that is brought to our attention. So I do want to thank everyone who has submitted logos. Not to say that one was bad or good, but I think it was really great that we had a lot of. I think we had 17 or 18 submissions, so I really think it was great that the community submitted their thoughts and ideas. Yeah, so someone will get that one.
Right. I don't know. A lot of time on this. I kind of like the logo we have now, or this updated logo
This one here.
with the pine tree.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it needs to be different colors, but I like the design, it's pretty cool.
Let's say, pull out a couple of the pine trees and put a lighthouse or
These are a little busy.
something.
It's like a full map.
Matt, can you hold that one up again?
Yeah, we tried to get that from
So the sailboat replacement.
This one here, kind of like simple.
Sailboat's always been there, we just took the TP out and put a pine tree in.
I'll try to get it up on top.
We're actually took
Just a comment, I do get a lot of compliments on this one. It's actually like the A's one.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be negative now. No, people always say that's really nice.
Good man.
Let's get the boat with the sun or
Yeah.
whatever.
Right.
This is the one you guys are referring to, kind of something like this?
And maybe just modify that, put a lighthouse in there, where one of those pine trees is, if that's so redundant. One other landmark, maybe the church.
Get rid of the big saw, maybe put something a little more.
Oh, we got a new logo.
This town was built on one, maybe a train.
Splash pad.
They put it out to the kids in the schools, let them all draw.
Yeah.
Every one of them draw, just submit them all.
We already did that.
That's that one.
We did.
Do you like the geometry of having a circle, you think, or
Mhm.
would you be into some other shape?
Like circle, simple, easy.
Circle of life.
Patches are easy to make, it's simpler for printing.
So do you want us to contract with a professional to do something based on this? And the feedback that we got to make it just keep the current logo but add some difference to it, or do we just, I guess that's what I'm trying to get.
That's my thought. I say, I like this design. I think the three trees are a little redundant.
And he's trying to say, let's just elaborate on this and
Yeah.
change colors and put some neat stuff and kind of go this right direction.
All blue,
It should be solid blue, not black.
even tree,
Yeah.
Blue trees?
blue tree.
CC.
Well,
Dr. Seuss.
okay.
The one comment I have had several times in City Hall here is that you can't see the Harbor Springs lettering. It's not apparent from any sort of a distance.
Right.
So maybe the part around should be a little bit wider.
I don't know, then you end up with a patch that,
It is ridiculous. So I
Might be
think,
a little late, but I didn't think about it, maybe, taking a look at the logo that I redid, or we did like 10 years ago on a fire truck. I should have submitted that, I totally forgot about it.
I'll do whatever you guys tell me to do. I'll go back to that list of your 6 options.
so that's for one. Professional, professional. That's for one.
Aaron over Sign by Design does a nice job.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Maybe take this and give it to,
Aaron, let's see who he does. Ron.
So the one that was on,
they don't charge until you get it.
take that and have them do something with it and see what they can bring us.
Yeah. And I personally think it should be green.
Maybe the Harbor Springs goes in the middle where the saw
And
is.
tune into chili time.
All American City goes around the top.
What did we say?
I didn't say anything.
No, I couldn't hear what you said.
Maybe the verbiage Harbor,
Maybe Harbor Springs, because it is hard to kind of read that Harbor Springs in the border. If Harbor Springs was where the saw is, and what does it say in the saw, All American City? Yeah, and maybe that goes in around the border, All American City, but, so Harbor Springs is more of a focal point as opposed to just a
So
border.
eliminate the saw.
no, just put the lettering in the saw, leave the saw there, is what he's
Oh,
saying.
okay.
And just move this Harbor Springs down in the saw. Just to make it more visible.
Go here, stars all around.
Okay.
And then, the All American City around the border with all the stars and everything.
Snowboarder. And put a snowboarder in there.
What Mike said, Aaron did our work on patrol cars. When we respec our patrol cars, I was gonna go with a green on it. And he said that it was his opinion to go with a silver. And we've had a lot of compliments on our patrol cars.
Yeah, he's really good.
So Aaron, I will say, for
Yeah, he's really good.
Good. He is good.
you know,
That's all that says.
Mhm.
Mr. Mayor, I like your idea of the lighthouse up there someplace.
I like the lighthouse too.
Yeah,
It's a good idea.
the big tree should be the lighthouse.
So I guess we're all our buddy at Sign and Design,
And bring back some,
bring us back and final proof, first proof. and we'll mull this over for a few more meetings.
a couple different options.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
he's good.
Let's
Throw a
do
lighthouse in there.
that. Then we will contact this person who designed this. And so then I guess they are technically the winner.
Okay.
This is what we want to base it off of.
Oh, someone did design it?
Yes. It just came in late.
You okay? You all
I
good?
think consensus
I'm
is
good.
on that.
Right.
We're not approving it yet, so
Can we put a light on the lighthouse? Beam a light that says something on it.
So the raise can know.
All right.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, so that is the end of that. So we're just gonna manage the report really quickly. Just an update. I know John Cups have been asking for a while, but the steps at the spillway, they're gonna come out on Thursday or Friday to finish up, fixing those concrete steps. And then we can eventually submit to the state, about the potential to use it as a flight path. So we're making progress on that end. Keith and I talked about signs, we can be pulling out political signs are in the right of way, or contractor signs. Fall leaf pickup has started October 5th, goes out to November 13th. And two beach bathrooms will be closed starting October 5th. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Today.
Some meetings that we had, there's a little Traverse Bay Watershed Advisory Committee, just a bunch of partners in the area trying to work out solutions to some of the stormwater and watershed issues. Efficiency United, we contract with, by state law, we have to contract with someone to deal with efficiency, electric conservation and energy efficiency projects, initiatives. They've been obviously working remotely because of COVID, so now they're starting to get back into the swing of things. So we're talking about projects, initiatives. And also we did have a meeting with the county administrators and officials on the TIF capture issue with the DEA, and we'll know more about that, I guess, what direction we're heading in a few weeks. So that really is all I have for managers and managers update. Unless there are any questions about anything particular. Okay. Then I guess, Jim, if you're still around, I think you need someone, well, unless there's our city council or new business, if you want to do that before we go to closed session.
So you'll order new business? We'll order new business?
I can't understand what you're saying.
Or new business?
No, I have nothing.
Okay.
Thank you.
John Phelps, any new or old business?
Not this time, thank you.
Yeah. All right, I guess we just need our verbiage to go in closed session.
Okay, can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Okay, we would need a motion from a council person to meet in closed session under section 8D of the Michigan Open Meetings Act to consider the purchase or lease of real property up to the time an option to purchase or lease that real property is obtained.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
John Cups,
Agreed, yeah.
Matt Bogera,
Yes.
CC Johnston,
Yes.
and Mike Maturkas.
Yeah.
We are in closed session.
All right, thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Please exit the room.
Hey, John, I'll call you from my cell phone and put you on speaker, okay?
Oh, thank you.
All right, sounds good. Andy, you got music?